All right, welcome to my FX Buddies, the podcast. And I say podcast because there are multiple ways in which you can enjoy this content. But my favorite one, the one that I recommend the most, is to go to the blog because the blog has everything. It has the video, it has the entire articles that I'm going to go over. And also, this might be one you want to share with a dinner buddy. Well, that's what I call them. It actually was a good weekend, very good weekend for Iraq. So we'll get into that. But anyway, so the blog is at myfxbuddies.blogspot.com. But that's a lot to remember, a lot to type in. So wherever you are interacting with this content, look for a prompt of more info, intro, description. Click on that. Another box opens that has a link directly to the blog. The blog is free. You don't have to put your email in, and I don't sell anything. It's just the articles are there, and that's it. Okay? So thank you for all the support. And the RSS.com people, I go there, but I have no idea. But if there's a subscribe button, subscribe, join, follow, whatever the terminology is, because that one I don't do the same time. It could be right after I upload to YouTube, or it could be 4 hours later. So if you want to not miss a thing, then if there's a join, or like I said, activate that. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Yeah, so we'll just go with it. Oh, well, it was Sunday. Did you see that game? That overtime? That's all I'm gonna say. All right? All right. So, it was Sunday. Actually, it's early enough. This should post for Sunday, September 14th. And, yeah. All right, so it's the morning started out wonderful. So I have here Global Stage, Iraq Central Bank Eyes, BIS membership. Now I had no idea that banks could join the BIS. I thought they just interacted with them, or they just were like a member, like how we have an account at a bank, so we're a member of that bank. I just thought that if central banks had an account with the BIS, they were just a member, but we'll find different, right? Okay, so and this is mainly what caused a stir today. It caused a stir on Twitter, everywhere, and I'll show you why. So, the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, which is him right here, Ali Al-Allaq, he meets with the governor of the Bank of England. Now, I don't know where they met. What the occasion was, because it says right here they met at the headquarters in London. But he says he gave a speech. During his speech, so who was he speaking to? Okay, but so I'm jumping ahead. That is Mr. Andrew Bailey. The meeting addressed the historical relations between the two banks and ways of cooperation in supporting the efforts of the Iraqi government and the Central Bank of Iraq in the field of digital transformation and benefiting from the Bank of England's experience in modernizing its paper currency. Okay, let's pause right there. If they're going cashless, why do they need to modernize their paper currency? Because they know the people aren't going to just easily fall in line, right? So apparently they already have their paper currency modernized, okay? And it studies on digital currencies. All right. During his speech, His Excellency, the Governor, pointed to the success of monetary policy in maintaining the stability of the general level of prices as a primary objective of monetary policy, stressing that inflation levels are the lowest in history, reaching less than 2%. Yeah, depending on how you finagle them numbers, right? Because I'm going to show you some other articles that contradict that. Just like here, they keep telling us, well, now there's not saying the economy is so strong anymore. But they keep telling us inflation is down, right? Yeah. Anyway, so His Excellency also touched on the relationship between the two sides in the field of foreign reserve management, especially since the Central Bank of Iraq keeps a portion of its reserves in the vaults of the Bank of England. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I mean, I really don't care, but I just thought it's their reserves. They would keep it in their vaults. But a lot of people keep their uh, precious things here in America, a lot of countries. So, now that I think about it, some things are coming together, right? So His Excellency Allaq called on Mr. Bailey to support the efforts of the Central Bank of Iraq to join the Bank for International Settlements in Switzerland, given that the Bank of England is a member of the aforementioned bank's board of directors. Okay, now before I show you the image, think about that. So the benefit of them joining is they get opened up to international finance, they get opened up to global standards, which I already thought they were, because if you look at what are those things, it's not going to come to me. But there's another form of money that is held. They only use it country to country. Doggone it. I'm sure someone is gonna know what I'm talking about. And it's only like the G7, maybe G10 countries have them. But Iraq is one of them. Iraq has a share of these, and even one year they borrowed against them. Ay, ay, ay. I can't remember what it is, but you know what? I'll look it up and I'll put it in here post production. And this was another thing that us and China were always going back and forth. We would deposit money, so we would have more of this form of money, and then they would put more in, and but you don't really hear too much about it anymore either. Anyway, it's gonna bother me, but I'm gonna move on. But yeah, so if now that I know they could become a member, and remember what does the world say about the BIS? That it's the central bank of all the central banks, right? So if they get a membership, which he must feel, they must feel that they're ready to be a member, right? If they're asking Mr. Bailey there and giving him a gift. Now look at this. Remember the last time Ali Al-Allaq gave a gift, or did he receive a gift? Remember it was that money tree? Do you guys remember that? Well, so this is nothing elaborate, but it looks like a note. And I can't see any numbers on there, but a lot of people have said it has a 25 on it. So I don't know if that's a new note. It looks, I don't believe it's a lower denomination, the new ones, because it looks old and it doesn't appear to have the security features like new notes have. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope that is one of the lower denominations. Plus, it makes sense. Look, it's in a cute little briefcase and it's protected, right? And it is, see that symbol right there? That's the CBI symbol. So it is Ali Al-Allaq giving it to Andrew Bailey. But the fact that he says they help them modernize their paper currency, then why would you present him with the old one that has no value, that doesn't mean anything, right? So it makes sense that they would give him one of the new ones, but like I said, looking at it in my opinion. But this had the internet, well, Twitter and Denarland internet going this morning, and I was one of them. I was right there with you. So we shall see. Time will tell, right? Okay, and now look at this. So he's in London. Ali Al-Allaq is in London. Sudani discusses economic investment and development issues with the British ambassador. And I do understand that Britain is separate from London. I understand that. That was Brexit was all about. But they're still the same landmass, right? Anyway, so he was here, not here. He was there, their ambassador, whatever he is. Yeah, he's the British ambassador to Iraq. He was there, and they were talking about, all the stuff they always say they talk about, plus the strip. See that there? See that? You know what strip I'm talking about. All right. And then there was some other central bank activity going on. The 85th meeting of the Central Bank Governors of the Gulf Cooperation Council, the GCC. It was held in Kuwait. So, very interesting, right? I think so. I don't believe in coincidences. So, you got Ali Al-Allaq in London uh, asking if their central bank can, get some help joining. And I wonder how long that takes and when we'll know if they're a member or not. Um, anyway, I just want to know everything, right? But anyway, I'm laughing because I can hear someone in my head. All right, so yeah, so if you want to read about who was there, oh, look at that. Cybersecurity, modern financial technologies, all the stuff. All the stuff that you would think they would talk about. Okay, the state council will decide on the salary issue next Tuesday, which is also council of ministers meeting. Now, one of these articles has November in it. It's not this one. So remember, last Tuesday, the council of ministers met. They were supposed to talk about the non-oil revenue and the salaries for the Kurdish region, but Sudani kicked it up, or someone kicked it up to the state council. They met today, but it said it was like a preliminary. The state council has requested that 2 advisors to the Ministry of Finance and Justice, so that's Kurd, will be present at the meeting on Tuesday so that they can respond together to the Council of Ministers. So they're trying to fact check this. They're like, we don't want to have to go do the go between. We want them there so they can respond right then and there. All right. So here's their legal mumbo jumbo, right? So here's another version. Let me do this. Look for November. Okay. Well, you know what? Maybe I didn't post that one. Yeah. So there was one that came out and it had November in it. It said Tuesday, November, and then there was no date. So, but then these came out later. So I said, well, I'll just go with these because that November date didn't make us any sense at all. All right, so let's see. Discussing the memorandum referred by the blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so same thing, but if the decision is postponed, the issue will be returned to the Council's legal framework for resolving the disputes between the federal government and the Kurdish region. And then they will say whether they like it or not. And then if they don't like it, then they have to go to the federal court. So there's that. All right, and one more. This was a delegation. The Kurdistan Regional Government and the Iraqi government discussed the issue of oil exports. So see, that's another issue. There was a negotiating delegation. They met online with 3 Kurdish ministries this evening. They also discussed the need to resume oil exports, but they need to do it for Epicor or Apicor, whatever, right? Reach an agreement and to gradually increase the level of oil production in the Kurdistan region to reach the previous level before all that, before it was halted. So they got a lot to make up, right? So the Iraqi Council of Ministers has set Tuesday, September 16th, to review and provide legal advice to the Iraqi Council of Ministers on the non-oil revenue issue between the two governments. So one of these, where it says Council of Ministers, they're talking about the Kurdish Council of Ministers, and then one is the federal one. All right. Now, this is interesting. We kind of knew this was happening, but here it is in black and white. And who's presenting it? An American company. Does it say? I don't think it does. Because the article from yesterday said Democratic something, right? Okay, but so here's the title. Powerful parties are pressuring the central bank to thwart the reform plan. So remember I was saying the reason they have the parallel markets running still is what? Someone's making money. It's the elites, the powerful, the rich somebody is making money. So this is economic expert Ziad Hashimi, and he hails mostly in the southern and central part of Iraq. And clearly he's not worried about um, being hurt. Listen to what he says. So he said this Saturday, but it came out today. Um, he talked about pressure exerted by powerful parties on the CBI to thwart the banking reform plan presented by an American consulting firm. He indicated that implementing the plan would rid the Iraqi banking system of most of its problems and clear its reputation. He explained that the plan would force shop bank owners to pay the price for establishing banks without banking standards and controls and for living off dollar transfers. He put it out there, didn't he? So he even tweeted it. The Central Bank of Iraq is under pressure from some powerful parties, right? To thwart the banking reform plan, empty it of its contents, maintain the miserable banking situation, and expose more banks to the risk of sanctions. So it's pretty long, but if you want to read it, so it's just, he's like, here, will we finally salute the central bank or will we continue to witness yet another failure of reform and submission to the powerful bank owners and patrons? So, yeah. Oops. Then he goes back just to August 16th when that's when the, oh yeah, matter of fact, he points out comply. Yeah. So this reform plan will force owners of convenience stores to pay the price for establishing banks that do not meet banking standards and regulations and for living off dollar transfers. Therefore, they have no choice now but to comply with the terms of the plan, merge, or liquidate. So remember that? So yeah, and that's what they got the 30-day extension for. Remember the ones that were very struggling? However, they're probably not very struggling. I know that's bad grammar. They just don't want to fall in line because they don't want their money tree to be chopped up, right? They want to continue to get that money, that black market money. So it's really long, it's really good, but I know not everyone's going to read it. All right. And here is another. This is a Parliamentary Finance Committee, the head of the Parliamentary Finance Committee, and he says the central bank is going through its worst conditions. And the governor, Ali Al-Allaq, has proposed an illogical idea regarding exchange offices. So it sounds to me like this guy might be getting paid by some of the people who run the exchange stations, right? So during his appearance on the program, he was on the news, or a talk show, excuse me. He was on a talk show. The current financial indicators are extremely poor, and the financial management over the past 3 years has committed disastrous errors that have had a negative impact on the national economy. He pointed out that the central bank has failed to control the gap between the official and parallel rates, despite salaries being fully secured, and this has led to punitive measures affecting 28 local banks. So the committee is hosting the head of the National Retirement Authority, the head of the Poverty Fund, general managers, and bank directors to prepare a current and future reform vision. So they're just going to make up their own reform plan, right? Noting that the governor of the central bank proposed an illogical and strange idea to transform 3 exchange offices into a bank. So they're just not happy. And then this latter part here, these last 3 are political, totally political. So I'm not going to read them, okay? All right. An economist explains the reason for the fluctuations in the dollar exchange rate. Okay, this one he says it has to do with complete dependence on imports. So that's a little different, right? Usually they say it's because of the fluctuating oil prices, but he's saying, yeah, oil prices play a little bit into it, but mostly because they import everything. So if you want to read that, you can. And, he's saying they need to increase the dollar revenues and that will help the problem. So I thought that was interesting. Okay, so here is the article earlier when I said, yeah, they're talking about the inflation's 2%. Despite its high income, Iraq is among the poorest in the world. And look at that picture. Isn't that a picture? For those of you who are just listening, it's a man's hands and he has his wallet in between his hands and he's spreading the wallet open and the wallet is empty. There's no cash in that wallet. I have had those days. Anyway, according to an international magazine, Iraq's population is on the list of poor countries and the Iraqi budget is 160 trillion dinars. According to economic experts, this amount of the budget is not able to fight poverty. So if you want to read that, you can. But I'm like, yeah, tell those people that are mentioned in that article that inflation is down. And now here, look at this. Rashid Bank announces a new service, enabling customers to make purchases using an electronic card and pay upon receipt of their salary. This step aims to promote a culture of electronic payments and facilitate financial procedures for citizens. That is promoting, I have to have it now, I can't wait. I have to have it now, I can't wait. That is what that is promoting. And it's almost like, I know we had a program like that here. I mean, they still do, but most people see it's dangerous. Well, it can be if you have no willpower, like some people, or discipline, like some people. So if they're on what we would call automatic deposit, which most of them are, they're forced to be, and they want to buy something, they can go use their card, buy it, even though the card could be empty. And then when the salary hits, they're going to deduct that out. So if anyone's listening from Iraq, don't do it. Don't do it. Wait. Just wait. All right. Okay. And they make it sound so like it's so great, right? The statement indicated that this step is part of the bank's plans to expand electronic payment services and gradually transition from cash transactions to modern methods. See, it's a trick. It's a trick. And they urge them. You see this? They're urging the customers to take advantage of it. All right. Here, so if you like what I'm doing, if it's helpful to you, you can, and you'd like to support. Actually, I was gonna say, if you like what I'm doing, hit the thumbs up. That's what I was supposed to say, but I jumbled it all together because I'm such a professional, right? All right. If you'd like to support my FX buddies, these are the ways you can do it. When this is a live blog, the Buy Me a Coffee link will be live. Cash App is always live. PayPal is always live. And I am Tish Wash. For Cash App, you have to put a $sign. For the PayPal, you don't. So big or small, I appreciate it all. And thank you in advance for your generous support. Ding. All right. We're almost done here. Let's see. So this is Muhammad Saleh. They put his response to the great deal that they had on Saturday. Right there, Saturday. The partnership signatures and the ceremony, right? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that means you missed yesterday's episode. And I don't know why you did, but it's okay. Yeah, I will provide a little square for you if you hang out. That's my phone. If you hang out to the end of this video, it pops up and you click it and then it plays yesterday's episode. And then you could see the part. They signed a deal, but it's using very different terminology. They're not saying loan. They didn't just get loans from IFC. They're saying partnerships. They got a partnership. They went into a partnership. So that's very different terminology. And it's thoroughly explained. Well, you can read this article, you know. They got multi-million-dollar partnership contracts in various sectors that will contribute to job creation and a whole bunch of good stuff, right? So you could just read this article and see they even have the bullet points that you guys like of some of the contracts that were signed. So yeah, you could read that, but the one from yesterday has a lot of images, so you could see how grand, the grandeur of the ceremony. It's something. It's really something. Okay, is this the one I wanted to go over? Yes. Okay, we got 2 minutes. So Fawad Hussein, he went to Doha and he met, right, they're still talking about what happened. And like 6, maybe 8 Arab countries are like, we need to come together and be some kind of League of Arab States. Even though they already have another one, they want these specific ones to come together. They were going to talk about that. Look at this. How does Iraq become the head of Interpol's cybercrime task force? How does that happen? They just learned about cybersecurity yesterday, right? But aren't they tied with Google and someone else, some other really, I'm not in that field, so I don't know. But they got trained by a really well-respected company, so they get to be the head of cybercrime task force of Interpol for the Gulf states, the Middle East, and North Africa. And doesn't that give us kind of some control over that too, since we still kind of control Iraq? That's a big area, right? Okay, so then there was one more thing. Here, Ansar Allah. Do you know the other name for that? Here it is right here. The name I'm not going to say. But they come out of Yemen. Yeah, they dropped some more kaplooies on Ice Cream Land. And then, oh, here. So the last article here, which I'm not going to talk about, I'm just going to tell you it's about Venezuela. But look at the people. They're just everyday people. And they're just teaching them how to hold pew-pews, right? I mean, this could be somebody's aunt right there. That's probably somebody's mom. That's probably somebody's grandpa. I don't know if this is a recent picture, but it looks pretty recent. But anyway, so if you want to read, so this is out of Iraq. So if you'd like to see a news article on what's going on in Venezuela from a not Western influenced perspective, that's what you can do. Okay, give me 2 minutes. 2 minutes. This article about Sudani is pretty telling. Okay? Al-Sudani is waving pressure cards, and Iraq is a candidate to become a new front for Ice Cream Land. Baghdad supports the formation of an Arab defense force. That's what they wanted. They want to do that also. Sudani threatened Ice Cream Land that he possesses cards that could prevent its expansion in the region. And I wanted to show you, and I'm going to try to find, there's a map of what they call the new Ice Cream Land or Greater Ice Cream Land, right? And it goes into Jordan and other territories. So if I could find that, I'll put it there. But it probably won't be till tomorrow, so I'll talk about it tomorrow. But look at Sudani coming out, being all tough and stuff. And the cards, it's very interesting, the terminology, because who says that? You have no cards. You have no cards, right? I know, I'm a terrible impersonator, but yes, our US president started that card talk with Zoolander, and that's what I'm calling you know who. So if you'd like to read this, this is part of the turmoil that's going on. And you know Rubio is over there in Ice Cream Land. And they did talk about that. They did show that on their news. So yeah, so if you'd like to read that, I mean, he's doing what any leader would do to protect their country, plus to look strong in front of his people. Um, who would have expected Qatar to be, what happened to them, right? And it says before Iraq. So they know there's someone wants to get at them, and we know who that is, right? But it keeps getting put off. We keep telling them, no, you can't do it. So yeah, this is you see how long it is too, right? So, yep. They even talk about double spy. Some people are double spies, but they call it double game. So it's very interesting. All right, so that's it. Other than that, it was a really good weekend for Iraq. And I'm looking forward to this week. I'm looking forward to the meetings on Tuesday. Hopefully Ali Al-Allaq will return and we'll get some more details about that. And yeah, so again, I thank you. I ask you again to hit that thumbs up button on your way out. If you'd like to subscribe, there should be a little icon in the lower right corner. You can tap that and you can easily subscribe. It's free, but it helps me. And yeah, so accumulate while we wait for the rate to appreciate. Don't miss any meals and pay all your bills. Thanks again. Enjoy the rest of your morning, night, noon, whatever time frame you are indulging in this content. And again, this might be one you want to share. At least tell them to look at the CBI part and what do they think that gift was to Mr. Andrew Bailey. All right, until next time.